The Long Road to True Happiness by WierdRandomTina. Chapter 13. Rescheduling and Understanding. Princess Poppy had her end-of-the-week visit with Branch planned out in her head, as well as in her scrapbook. They would do some reading. She wanted to investigate more of his books, and if she was lucky, maybe she'd even get him to check out a few of hers, and play a game of Strike 5. But first, the main activity, helping him store his many boxes of backup rations, as she promised. However, right as Poppy excitedly stepped out of her pod with the intention of going to the bunker, a bunch of frantic teens ran up to her with an emergency. They wanted to plan a formal get-well party for their friend, who had currently sprained her wrist. But the only time it could take place was later this afternoon, meaning they needed the troll princess's assistance immediately. Poppy's heart tightened, feeling torn between these sudden plans and her pre-made plans. But as the princess, there was no question as to which one was the priority. Her smile began to falter, so she quickly readjusted it to cover up her twinge of dismay. Thankfully, Poppy had mastered forced smiles long ago, for the sake of maintaining happiness in her village. That won't be a problem at all. I just have one very quick errand to run. Give me 20 minutes max, and I'll be right over to help you get organized. Down in the bunker, Branch awaited the familiar clicks and hums of the elevator, signalling his sole guest's arrival. Instead, he was greeted by an urgent knocking on the hatch door. And it was an ordinary knock, not her usual rhythmic knock. Strange. His curiosity shifted to concern when he opened his door to see Poppy's pink face looking rather distressed, and her hello was downcast to match. Hi, Branch. Branch felt his stomach churn. What's wrong? Are you alright? Yeah, I'm fine. It's just... She sighed. I'm actually not here to hang out. I came to tell you that I have to cancel today's visit. I'm sorry. I was informed of a last-minute party as I was heading over that I need to tend to right away. I can't turn it down. The hosts really need my help. They're under a lot of stress. I'm really sorry, Branch. He was relieved nothing was seriously wrong, but also taken aback by how apologetic Poppy was being over something so minor. You don't have to apologize. Branch may as well have said he was deeply disappointed in her, because she continued in the same tone. It's not that I don't want to hang out with you, because I really do, but I don't have any choice. I promised I wouldn't be cancelling this if it wasn't important. Poppy, calm down. Branch's tone was firm but sincere, not irritated in the least. These things happen. There's no reason to feel so badly about it. Poppy looked thoroughly dumbfounded. You mean it? You're not mad at me? At all? Why would I be mad with you? Because I made plans with you, and then I turn around and ditch you. I promised I'd help you with your backup rations, and now you'll have to wait, or do it by yourself. It's not a problem, Poppy. It can be done any time. Branch was thoroughly dumbfounded too. You're the princess. Tending to the village is your responsibility. I don't expect you to toss that aside for me. He shied away from his last thought, but the words came quietly slipping out anyway. You go out of your way enough for me. Poppy's mind was blank with surprise. Wow. Thank you. Composing herself, she cleared her thoughts and found her words. I'd better get going. I can stop by tomorrow, an hour before noon. Would that be okay? That's fine. Whatever works for you. You're the one with a solid schedule. As the princess headed off, she emphasized over her shoulder, Thanks, Branch. I'll see you tomorrow, for sure. After helping to host the Get Well party, which had played out perfectly, Poppy attended the 4 other activities that had already been on her schedule. A field trip to the art museum for the middle school trollings, a cute fairy-themed birthday party for some trolling triplets, Satin and Chenille's fashion show rehearsal, and a formal dinner/conference with King Pepe and the village elders. Finally, Poppy was able to settle down in her giant, fluffy, comfy bed, more than ready for some shut-eye. But, despite her exhaustion, she found herself unable to even close her eyes. Poppy's mind kept replaying two distinct but contrasting scenes. One was her earlier interaction with Branch. Something about his natural, easygoing understanding giving her flutterbugs in her stomach. She recalled the warmth in his soft, pale eyes, and her breath coming out as a small sigh. The other image was a recent conversation with Creek. But instead of joy, this memory twisted her stomach into an uncomfortable knot. Yesterday, he'd asked Poppy to stop by his pod before the fashion show rehearsal, to bring him his bead crafting toolkit, which she had borrowed a few days prior. She had agreed, but with all the day's events to plan plus the schedule mix-up, and the fairy-themed birthday party running longer than expected, it had completely slipped Poppy's mind until halfway through the dinner conference. Afterward, she had rushed to get the kit from her pod and then rushed over to Creek's pod. By the time she reached it, the princess was wiped out, but she immediately apologized for being late and explained what happened. But he didn't even seem to care what her reasoning was. Instead of being sympathetic or grateful or even pleased to see her, Creek complained that he hadn't been able to work on his important beaded necklaces today without that toolkit, so this delay would cause his valued customers to be very disappointed with him. "You let me down, Poppy," he said sadly. Normally, when Creek would pout and whimper like this, Poppy would just shrug it off and or feel guilty. But this time, for some reason she couldn't fully figure out, his familiar behaviour kind of bugged her. It had been a simple, honest and understandable mistake. Surely his customers would understand if he explained the dilemma. And when he said she was forgiven, his rough tone suggested otherwise. Normally at this point, Poppy would have continued apologizing and trying to make it up to him. But she was feeling out of sorts, so she left with little more than a "Thanks, I should get going. Have a good night." To which he didn't reply. Now, as she tossed and turned in her bed, her thoughts spun like a tilt-a-whirl. How come Branch wasn't upset I cancelled our visit last minute? Did I really let Creek down? At least I get to see Branch tomorrow. Creek knew I was really busy. Why didn't he just go to my pod himself if it was so important? I should bring Branch a little thank you gift. I love his shy appreciation when I give him things. I hope Creek isn't mad at me. I did everything I could. I can't wait to see Branch tomorrow. The following morning was exceptionally calm, with Poppy's schedule being completely empty. No parties to host, no festivals to organise, no events to attend, no royal duties, nothing personal to work on around her pod. It was perfect to visit Branch. However, the snack pack somehow discovered her excess free time. They caught Poppy on her way over to the bunker, and excitedly invited her to join them at the water park. The princess hesitated. She didn't want to reject her 8 best friends, but she couldn't bail on Branch again unless it was important. Not that this was unimportant, but... However, she couldn't inform her friends of her visits with Branch. What kind of excuse could she come up with that wouldn't make them curious, or hurt their feelings? She didn't want to lie to them, but she also didn't want to break her promise to Branch. "Is something wrong, Poppy?" Biggie asked in his soft, accented voice, when she didn't respond after a considerable amount of time. No, sorry. It's just, I can't join you guys this time. I have something I need to do. Something came up." The vagueness may have deterred most trolls, but these were her closest friends. "Oh? Such as what?" Guy Diamond asked. His inquisitive glitter troll always craved details. "Archer isn't throwing another surprise party, is he?" DJ Suki sighed, sounding worn out. "I love that dude, but I'm still recovering from his previous 3. I love surprise parties, especially when they're a surprise," Cooper happily contributed. "Let us help, please. We're awesome at helping you." Smidge stared up at Poppy with giant, pleading blue eyes, which absolutely did not match her deep voice. The others added their agreements. "You are, Smidge. In fact, all of you guys are very best at helping me. But this is something I have to take care of myself." That didn't work. Biggie asked with some concern, "Uh-oh, did something bad happen?" "What? No, not at all." "Whatever it is, we're all here to support you, Princess," Creek assured her. "Don't bear all the weight on your shoulders alone. Let us carry some of it for you." "I know you're all here for me, and I appreciate that so much, but it's not like that. This is..." Poppy scrambled to think of something appropriate to end the prying. "It's kind of a secret." That didn't work either. Cooper exclaimed, "I love secrets, especially when they're a secret." "Come on, spill it," Smidge near demanded, which prompted Biggie to say in a gentler tone, "We're masters at keeping secrets. We won't tell a soul, we pinky promise." Then Creek added, sounding disappointed, "Biggie speaks the truth, and yet you do not seem to be willing to trust us." "It's not that!" This conversation was going in circles, and the princess was starting to cringe at the needless commotion her fib was causing. It wasn't a lie, but also very much avoiding the truth. "Of course I trust you. Each and every one of you. Especially you, Creek. This secret is just a little different from my other ones. I'm sorry, but I really do need to get going. So I'll talk to you guys more at Aspen's slumber party, okay?" That'll give her enough time to invent a detailed story. While most of the gang looked puzzled, but content to shrug off Poppy's mysterious secret, Creek still looked offended. "Poppy, you're giving us the impression that you don't want us around." At that, she panicked. "That's not true. I would let every one of you come with me, but Branch doesn't want any extra company." She didn't clue in what she said until her face's friends shifted from confusion and curiosity. Creek raised a navy blue eyebrow. "And what precisely does Branch have to do with all of this? What issue has he caused this time?" "He didn't." Poppy sighed internally. "Well, I've already half said it. Look, about a month ago, after he bandaged up my arm, I knew Branch had to be a good troll at heart. So I decided to help him try to be happy by giving him some friendly company. You know, play board games, read books, go for walks, help him with chores. Simple stuff. Little stuff that he'd be okay with. I offered to visit him a couple of times a week, and he agreed. But he asked me not to get anyone else involved, because he's still not comfortable with crowds. I'm sorry I didn't tell you guys what was going on." It was Biggie who answered. "Oh, don't feel bad, Poppy. We understand. Right, guys?" "Of course." Guy spoke next with a pleased smile. "You've strived to connect with him for years, and now you've finally found a way. That's wonderful." "Yeah, I mean, it's no village party, but a little stuff like that can be fun too." Smidge grinned. "At least it's a start." "That's cool. I'm just shocked Branch was actually willing to give you a chance." Cooper admitted. Then he looked confused. "This is Branch the Grumpy Grey Loner we're talking about, right, guys? Or is there another Branch I don't know about?" "You were respecting his wishes by not telling us, Poppy," Suki encouraged, and Poppy started to feel better. "You were being a good friend to him. We can't be mad at you for that." "If there was any way we can help, though," Saturn began, "feel free to let us know," Chenille finished for her sister. Creek remained silent. "Thank you so much, guys. For now, I think the best thing you can do for me and Branch is just to not tell anyone else, okay?" After they happily promised to keep their secret, Poppy's best friend gave her a tight hug, then wandered off in different directions. Except for Creek, who stayed right where he was, neither leaving nor approaching her. And he looked dismayed. "Creek? What's wrong?" "Is it not obvious? You and I never keep things hidden from each other. At least, that's what I believed." Though his tone remained relaxed, there was a hint of accusation in it. "I've let you in on every one of my personal secrets." "And I've let you in on all of mine." "Except this one." "This wasn't my secret. It was Branch's. I promised him I wouldn't say anything. I couldn't break his trust." Why is Creek so bent out of shape about this? "I'm sorry, but I really don't see what the big deal is. A few years ago, you asked me not to tell anyone about, well, you know, that incident. And I I still haven't told a single troll. Not even my dad or all the rest of the snack pack. How is that any different?
Because that was an undignifying secret that would damage my reputation. Accepting casual company is an odd thing to wish to keep hidden from everyone. We trolls are natural sharers, so a troll who has no interest in a social life is scarcely a troll at all.
Poppy almost gasped at how nonchalantly Creek's degrading words flowed out. Just because he's not like the rest of us doesn't mean he's not one of us. He's different, but that doesn't mean he's bad or weird. I'm just trying to help him in a way that suits him the best. And it's working.
It should not take such effort to befriend someone. It's a clear sign it's not meant to be.
Upset at Creek's lack of support, Poppy blurted out, See, this is another reason I was hesitant to tell you. Because I knew you would only say that visiting him is a waste of time.
Can you truly blame me for feeling that way, Princess? You're compromising your own inner peace for an ungrateful hermit who has no interest in being happy. He's only going to drag you down to his level.
The lavender troll let out an excessively long sigh.
Well, it's your choice, I suppose. Go and visit him if that's what your heart is telling you to do. But don't be upset with me when the time comes for me to say I told you so.
Without another word, Creek calmly turned and left. Poppy stood dumbfounded for a few minutes, half watching him leave, and half in a muddled daze. Snapping back to her senses, the pink troll clued in that she needed to hurry up if she didn't want to be late to the bunker. Despite her 7 other best friends showering her with support, Creek's contrasting reaction really unsettled her. Am I wrong for keeping this a secret from him? It doesn't matter now. What's done is done. But she still couldn't push the notion from her mind. Poppy really didn't believe that not informing Creek of her casual visits with Branch was such a terrible thing. It's not like the discreet visits were hurting Creek, a danger to him or anyone else. And it wasn't as if she'd told the snack bag and left only him in the dark. That she could easily understand. But she hadn't told a single troll about befriending Branch. Well, except King Pepe. But my dad doesn't count. He would never tell anyone, or interfere in any way. I tell him literally everything, big or small, good or bad. And I know he would be the best one to talk about this. Why is Creek so against me helping Branch? Despite what he believes, it's not hurting me at all. Spending time with Branch makes me happy. First Friday's strange incident with Creek, and now this? What is going on? Despite her frantic rush, Poppy arrived a few minutes late. Even though Branch had been waiting very patiently for her, calmly seated at his dining table, she still apologized profusely in between trying to catch her breath.
For her sake, Poppy, it's all right.
She could hear the compassion underneath the sternness. That tone soothed her, just as it had yesterday.
Look at yourself. You're exhausted. Come here.
Branch gently guided her towards the couch, one hand supporting her arm and the other lightly across her back.
Sit down before you fall down. I'll fetch you a glass of water. Don't even think about moving from that spot.
Poppy didn't reply, so he half expected to find her wandering around, or completely gone when he returned to the living room. But she was sitting exactly where he left her, silently staring at the coffee table. When he handed her the glass, she murmured, "Thank you. You didn't have to do that."
And you don't have to do all that you do for me. And yet, here we are.
Turning away from her warm fuchsia gaze, he added in a more softer tone,
"It's only water. It's the very least I can do."
"It's so much more than that," Poppy wanted to say as he sat beside her, but her throat suddenly felt like she'd swallowed dandelion fluff. After taking a few satisfying gulps of water, she presented him with a bundle of pencils in varying patterns of berries, leaves and mushrooms. But it was as clear to Branch as the water in the glass that something was off with the princess. She was trying to act her usual friendly self, but her voice lacked its perky energy, and her expression was troubled. He had never seen her like this before.
Something pretty serious must have happened to make the most optimistic troll in the forest looks so unsettled.
Poppy was repeatedly glancing at him, as if she wanted to tell him something, but didn't know how to go about it. Branch's heart twisted. He could feel her inner turmoil as if it were his own. He knew precisely what it was like to be afraid to speak up. He did not want her to feel this way. He wanted desperately to see her familiar, pretty smile. So, he finally took a deep breath and asked,
"What's on your mind?"
"Well, it's just..." When Poppy finally turned to fully face him, her eyes were giant pools of distress. "The snack pack knows about our visits. I told them this morning. I'm so sorry, Branch. I didn't mean to. It just happened in conversation. I know I told you I wouldn't tell anyone, and I promised I wouldn't. And now I broke my promise to you." She bowed her head in shame, her ears wilting. Branch had almost forgotten about that promise. Somehow, what had seemed like such a vital requirement in the beginning no longer mattered as much to him. Honestly, he'd kind of assumed the whole village knew about their hangouts by now. If it weren't for Poppy's anxiety, he would have found it heartwarming that she'd stuck to her word despite her strong, sharing nature.
"It's fine, Poppy."
He very briefly put a hand on her shoulder. At his gentle touch, she looked back up at him.
"They were bound to find out sooner or later, one way or another. It's not as if any of them will bother to invade my space on their own accord. Don't fret about it."
"Really?" Poppy stared into Branch's grey with a hint of blue, oh so gentle eyes. There he went, being unbelievably considerate again. It took every hair follicle of her willpower not to throw her arms around him right then and there.
"Really?"
Branch stared into Poppy's vibrant pink eyes. They were full of worry, hope, relief, and gratitude, all at the same time. As she had planned the day before, they exchanged books and did some reading of each other's topics, played Strike 5, and sorted backup rations together. Though some of her pep had returned, Branch thought she still seemed a bit downcast. Something was still bugging her. But how was he, of all trolls, supposed to help her feel better? All he had ever been good at was making people feel worse. He might be savvy with complimentary phrases in poems, but he would never be able to speak the right words to comfort her, even if he did somehow manage to psych himself out to ask what was bothering her a second time. Though Branch didn't say much, Poppy knew that he knew that she hadn't revealed the full story. While they were finishing up with the rations, the princess came across a stone that was kind of heart-shaped with a mauve hue. It reminded her of a beautiful necklace Creek had given her years ago, which involuntarily lowered her spirits again. Despite looking busy organising the boxes, Branch must have noticed her mood change, because suddenly a broad grey hand was resting comfortably on her shoulder. Their eyes met for a few seconds, his full of compassion and sympathy. Then he gave her a shy nod, patting her on the shoulder a few times, retrieved his hand, and returned to his own organising. It was such a minor, easy-to-dismiss gesture, but coming from Branch, it may as well have been a 5-minute-long hug. In an instant, Poppy's positivity began to flood back. She had had a fallout with Creek, but there were many other bright sides to this day. She had the support of all her other friends. She had Branch's quiet but kind-hearted company. Not to mention Branch was becoming increasingly comfortable being friends with her. And that's what she should focus on. Things will get resolved with Creek eventually. They always do. Branch had no idea how such an insignificant, awkward, emotionless gesture managed to brighten her like the sun appearing from behind a cloud. But however it worked, he was just relieved to have that stunning smile, cheery chit-chat, and giddy laugh back. End of chapter. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed that one. Long one, that one, but I absolutely love it. And Creek makes me want to hit him. If I had hair like the trolls, I would have joined in on the strangling like they did in the movie. Honestly, the guy is such a manipulator. And it's because Poppy is seeing that genuine side of Branch that she is able to make that contrast. She's noticing it now and realising why Creek, despite her liking him, makes her uncomfortable now. And I find that very impressive. She's not giving in as much. What he's doing is textbook manipulation. And now she's becoming aware of it. And Branch just being there genuinely for her, he friggin' gets it. The guy barely hangs out with anyone, but he genuinely gets it. Honestly, Broppy for life, I'm just saying, I love these two. Anyway, you guys know the drill. Like, comment and subscribe and hit that bell to be notified whenever I upload a new video. Have a good day, night, or whatever time zone you're in. Bye my guys, gals and non-binary pals. I'll see you in another video. Take care.